What's going on, YouTube? It's been a while since I made a video. I thought it was about time to start it up again because I got ninth place at the Pasadena Regionals. Crazy, right? Um, this is one of my favorite card games to play in. I've played Vanguard, I've played Buddy Fight, I've played Digimon, but when it came to One Piece, it was just kind of just like that game that I wanted to fully put my efforts in and actually get good at it. I mean, I was good at the other games too, but but like hopping at regionals is something I've never done. This was also my first regional. So to have it as my first regional to get ninth place is pretty impressive. Here is the mat right here to show my proof. Boom! Look at that. It's the boys. Finalist stamp right there. But yeah, so I'm gonna go over my deck list. I use Trafalgar Law. He is my favorite character. So coming into the game, I kind of just beeline straight over to getting a Law deck going, and it's been working out for me since set one. I just haven't been too much into the competitive scene because we got jobs, we gotta work, gotta do adult things and have responsibilities. But enough of that. Let's get over this deck list. So I'm doing something a little interesting actually. So we'll go over every card. Running 4 Otama. Otama's the best one-drop red card in the game. 2k counter. Gives minus 2k on play. Solid card. Helps with shambling like a lot easier. 4 Chopper obviously for the blocker. I'm running 2 starter deck Nami so that it helps me a lot in the Whitebeard matchup. She actually helps a lot in the Zorro matchup as well. Saying if you have like a Nami or a Dodon on board, you play another card, you use your starter deck Nami to put a Don on it. You can either put one more Don to swing 5k at lead, or it just really helps hit their buggies, especially if you have Nami on board. It makes killing buggies so much easier for the deck, considering that's like one of the main problems that this deck has against Zorro, because it's unkillable by like most of your cards anyway. 4 Beach, standard. 4 Bonnie, standard. Supernova Searcher. She actually does a lot more in this deck, because I'll get to it later. 4 Nami, standard Straw Hat Searcher. 4 Dodon, searches your 1 cost so you can continue doing your shambles. Searches a good quarter of your deck, which is nice. Mine's not so much, because I removed Makino from the deck because she is a good 2k counter. Sure, she can help you hit like some cheeky 5k swings on your Nami, but when it came to shambling, especially against like Zorro or Whitebeard, Makino kind of just sits in your hand as a 2k most of the time unless you need the shambles, and you kind of lose out on a lot of tempo in your game plan. So instead of having that, I put in 3 Vista. I mean, oh yeah, but before that, 4 Brooks, 2k counter, gives you 2 free Dawn on something, Straw Hat searchable, solid card. We're running 3 Vista, specifically for the Mirror and the Zorro matchup. Somewhat Dofi too, depends, if you have Otama with you. But he's really good, swings 5k for 2 Dawn, 1 if you have starter deck Nami. We run 3 Robin, searchable, also a tech card against Zorro in the match the mirror match. Having a 4k base is really nice. We're running 3 Rush Zorro. It's Zorro. He's self-explanatory, one of the strongest cards. And okay, then here's when it gets a little interesting, a little spicy, if you could say. So I'm running 3 set 2 4 cost 6k vanilla Zorro. And the reasoning behind that is every time I would come across a Zorro, they would kind of just win the matchup with a 3 Dawn card, Fire Fist, because they generally just Otama Fire Fist if you have, say, like if you have Trafalgar Law and Zorro on the board. It's just Otama Fire Fist, and now your game plan is ruined, your day is ruined, and you're dissatisfied, and now you're probably going to lose the game off of that because of a 3 Dawn investment. But having the starter decks, having the set 2 Zorro be a 6k base, it's searchable by Nami, it's searchable by Bonnie, it's a target for your Restand Law's ability, it's a 6k base, So they either have to jet pistol this thing, or they have to Otama fire fisted like any other card. The difference is, say you have your Zorro and you have your Law on board. Now they have to double Otama and then Fire Fist. So because of that, they have to commit a lot more of their resources, hand size and Dawn, just to killing your units and your board. Because for some reason, Zorro players just need to clear your board every single turn. But yeah, he really helps out a lot. He helps out a lot against the Whitebeard matchup. He's a base 6k, so he can just swing without Dawn and poke for 6k, which is also really nice. Throw a Dawn on him against any other leader. Now he's a 7k swing, so now they have to drop a minimum of 2 cards in order to block it. Otherwise, it's just a free hit every time. He's just a really solid card. For blocker law, self-explanatory. It's the deck's bread and butter. Bounce your units, play another card. Usually, sometimes there were cases where I would bounce my 4-cost Zorro and play a different card so I can have him as counter. Obviously, as you can tell in the deck, there's not that much counter power in it. Because I'm taking a more mid-range aggressive approach. So because of that, I obviously am more susceptible to getting ran down, but I can also fight back hard enough to where I speed up the process of killing them rather than stalling out and bringing it to super late game to where they obviously shine a lot better. I'll get into the matchups later about that. We're running one starter deck Luffy because, I don't know, I feel like you only really personally need one. He's more of a tech card against Whitebeard and Lucci, considering they always have like a ton of blockers, and also, of course, against the Mirror. There was one game where I actually fought against a Lucci. I think it was round 6 or 7. It was round 7. He had a Borsalino and a Fukuro on board, and I top decked this Luffy, poked for 6 with my leader, and he took it for some reason. And then I just slammed it on the board for 10. Well, if you have it, you have it, and he didn't have enough guard. He kind of baited that with like 2 cards in hand and 2 Dawn up. I thought he had a Shockwave, but it was just 2 1k counters. And then obviously 3 Restand Law. It's just a really solid card. Supernova, restand your swings. Don't be afraid to swing with your blocker law. He's more of an attacker than the blocker, if you think, to be honest. So you can restand your blocker law, you can restand your unblockable Luffy, you can restand your set 2 Zorro, set 1 Zorro, or himself if you already have him on the board. There has been a lot of cases where I would kind of just like shambles into this law if I'm really down bad on the board state, and I grab another one. And it's like, well, I'll just swing 9, drop it, swing 9 again. That's really hard to block unless you're red. But yeah, it helped a lot in a great deal of my matchups. So when I went 8-1 in the regional, my matchups were Whitebeard, 3 Zorros, 2 Katakuris, 1 Ace, and 2 Lucci. My first round, I actually lost to Whitebeard. It was pretty funny. It came down to the wire. He had Crossfire and double guard point in his hand when I swung for, what was it, 14? No, sorry, 15. I swung 15 and he had Crossfire, double guard point. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. They kind of just farmed events for late game, but that's how the matchup is. So I lost that, kind of felt bad, but then after that, the 2 Katakuris, pretty easy matchup. I fought the Ace player, and that matchup was a little... At first, I was a little spooked at first, but I played a lot of Ace at the start of set 3, so I knew the weakness, which is just swinging 6 and 7k. They don't run that many 2Ks, so being able to pressure them for 6k and 7k multiple times per turn, it kind of, stunted his game plan a lot. Ace is not that strong at the moment, but if they do lift the restrictions, then I feel like Ace will probably be a solid tier 2. But as of now, it just feels underwhelming to play as Ace, and when you're fighting Ace, you kind of just you don't feel alarmed or concerned. You're kind of just like it's just annoying because he keeps blowing my board up, but like he's not developing at the same time. So yeah, it's not too bad. The three Zorros I fought literally carried because these Zorros were just unkillable most of the time. There's one turn where I dropped a Beige and two Zorros, and they kind of just sat there like, what am I supposed to do about that? And I was like, well, that's exactly why I'm running it. It really helps because they can't get rid of it under a normal circumstance. They would have to burn so many resources just to kill it, like Gordon, Otama, and then use another KO card, which is more Dawn out of their turn and less Dawn to their units that swing at you at face, which makes it a lot easier for me to guard against it. So that's where not having the more 2Ks comes in, because they don't have the Dawn to swing enough to warrant me needing more 2Ks, if that makes sense. All the matchups were, I'd say my round 9, which was a Zorro, he was so good. He played that perfectly, but I saw my cards, I played it to the best of my capabilities, and it was just it got to the point where you're just like, yeah, I think you got this. Of course, we still played it out. He was a good sportsmanship about it. We dabbed after. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Against Lucci, I'd say Lucci was like the scariest matchup I've had, solely because they have multiple ways of killing your board, like your big bodies, and in the like, I guess a normal law deck, that would be a huge problem, because in a normal law deck where you're not running like the Zorros and maybe not the Robins, the only big things you have are Blocker Law, Luffy, and Restan Law. I guess Rush Zorro counts too, but Rush Zorro's a 3 cost. They can pop that with Kaku or Kobe. When it comes to your Blocker Law, Restan Law, and your Rush Luffy, they just Sakazuki it and they ball. And after that, you kind of just gotta eat it on top of like the unkillable blockers they have. Obviously, there were many times where I fought other decks and I could just like Otama Robin, like one of their blockers, and we're good, but it's not the case in this circumstance. Both Luigi games came down very close to the wire. It was very scary. It was fun though. It was really fun. Like many people say, like if they're a good Lucci player, not necessarily a good player, but if they're a good Lucci player, then they're probably, instead of being on tier 2, they're probably like around tier 1 in terms of like strength and competitiveness, because of how strong the black cards actually are. It's just, you have to know when is the right time to use it. So Lucci players, mad respect. I play a little bit of Lucci too. It was just really fun. Why when everybody was on the red hate purge movement, but you know what? I kind of just like I just can't leave my boy Law hanging. He's literally my favorite character, so I gotta play him regardless. But moving forward, I plan on trying to make more content for my YouTube channel. I really love the One Piece card game. It's so fun for me. I play on Sim a lot too to help practice like text and whatnot, like some weird shit, some weird text that I like to use in my decks. And of course, I'd like to, you know, help teach the community like the different matchups and whatnot, what to do in very similar situations. I don't know. It's just fun making content for this game, and I feel like I have the drive to do it. For other games, it was kind of just, it was in the moment, but like this game is really fun. It's skill intensive in my opinion, which I really like. It was very similar to Vanguard when I first started getting to it, so it kind of just already clicked with me. Um, but yeah, that was my deck list, my Pasadena Regionals experience. I'd love to show you the physical deck, but I don't have the setup for that yet. But hopefully in the future we get that situated and handled. But yeah, thank you for watching my my regional deck profile. I hope I get to see more of you guys come to the channel, and we just vibe. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.